For an entire generation, people have experienced Star Wars the only way it's been possible, on the TV screen. But if you've only seen it this way, you haven't seen it at all.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
We've been waiting for you.
The Force is strong here, even stronger than the coffee.
Welcome to Coffee with Kenobi. Here are your hosts, Dan Z. and Corey Clubb.
Hello, this is Corey Clubb, and welcome to show number 28 of Coffee with Kenobi, a Star Wars podcast that analyzes our favorite saga in a whole new way. With me is my good friend and co-host, Dan Z.
Hello, everybody. Be sure to check out our interview with Taylor Gray, Ezra Bridger from Star Wars Rebels. Taylor's enthusiasm was contagious as we discussed Ezra and his relationship with Kanan, as well as his burgeoning relationship with the Star Wars franchise. We also have the next episode of Legends Library, featuring Randy and Luke, coming your way very soon. They discuss Dark Force Rising. Be sure to check out the latest from our Coffee with Kenobi bloggers as well, as they give their reflections on the Force Awakens trailer, as well as connections between Star Wars and Christmas. You definitely won't want to miss Rob Wainfur's incredible blog, where he looks at the top 10 Star Wars video games. This incredible post was the most viewed article we have ever had, so be sure to check out this awesome video Rob produced. It's a great trip down memory lane.
In today's show, Steve Sansweet drops by to talk about being a Rancho Recruiter and joins us to talk about our topic for show number 28, your reactions to the Force Awakens teaser trailer. We have the good fortune of sharing your emails, thoughts, and opinions on this awesome moment in Star Wars history. We also are joined by Tom Riddle and Wes Dodgens of Star Wars in the Classroom. Tom and Wes have great things happening with Star Wars Rebels and have an exciting announcement to share as well.
We'll also discuss character names for The Force Awakens, the premiere of Season 2 of Rebels, the return of Frank Oz, and Celebration news. We will also have the next offering of your Espresso Shot with the Bearded Trio featuring Rob Wainfur.
And now, let's see what's brewing in the Star Wars universe this week.
Oh, wait. This is interesting. You found something.
I'm about to let everyone in on the secret.
For our first news story, some big exciting news comes out of Star Wars The Force Awakens. They kind of quietly released the some of the names that have been in the teaser trailer, some of the characters we've seen on screen now. It's exciting to see because they're kind of a retro look.
Yes.
It was something I think that Dan, you were beholden to back in the olden days, 1977 days of the old trading cards. Tell us more about maybe the old series and how it kind of relates to this new wave of trading cards.
Right. Well, when I first saw them, I thought, oh my gosh, they've got the vintage cards, because this is, of course, what the cards looked like for the A New Hope set. They were blue and red, and they're amazing. I know my good friend Thomas, who I work with, he has, I think, just about the whole set. Of course, Steve Sansweet joked with us that this was like his Star Wars crack, because he just loved those things. I got them scattered around in the attic somewhere. I need to get rolling on that, I say, as I look at the BB-8 card. But it was an amazingly slick way to do it. They did it through Entertainment Weekly. Our friend Jordan Mason was talking about it on Twitter, and that's how I found it. And then I texted you, and I think you were in the process of driving home, so you didn't respond right away. Thank goodness, because it's not safe to text and drive, Corey.
That's right, kids. Don't do that.
No, you shouldn't. So let's just go to. We're on StarWars.com right now, so feel free to pause and open up your web browsers. Make sure you're not driving a vehicle while you have this discussion with us, and let's just look at them all from top left. And the first one we have is, of course, the infamous soccer ball droid, now known as BB-8.
Yeah, it was recently revealed this week that BB-8 here is a practical effects droid. I think that was huge news, and coming right from Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill.
Right, yeah.
I think I didn't expect that. I mean, my first in seeing this in the trailer, I'm sure we'll get more of this later on in our discussion, that, I was instantly thought, oh, it's CGI. And so...
Oh, me too.
I think that was a big deal, I think, for fans to learn. But even
people have gone nuts over this droid.
Yeah, he's nuts. Cool looking.
Yeah, he is cool. I got to be honest, as we said in our initial reactions to the trailer when it came out on Black Friday, I was like, okay, But then I watched it later with my 18-month-old son. Now, he doesn't, I'm pretty proud that he knows who Yoda is, and he points him out, just, and so that's pretty fun. But when BB-8 came on the screen, he pointed at it and made like this fun noise, like he was excited, and I instantly thought, okay, I love BB-8 now. And that's one thing that I think is important for me particularly to remember, is while there's that kid in me that loves Star Wars so much, I'm also an adult too. So it's just fun to see that it still encompasses all ages.
It does, and I talked to my kids about it, and they were pretty excited to learn the name, and we kind of had some discussions about who the characters were and what their names were around the dinner table, and they had some fun names going. I think one of them was Boggle, and one guess was R2DD, and similar veins. Yeah, it's something interesting. So it was kind of fun to learn his official name, and now we can stop calling him the sucker ball droid. So
that's right. Although people still will.
Sure, and mine as well.
And that's fun. Yeah, it's fun. And his card is number 11. They've said, and Full of Sith had a great discussion on that, so we won't belabor the point because they did a beautiful job of discussing it. But their numbers here are purposely laid out for a reason, and we don't know yet what that is. So that'll be fun to look at. Let's go ahead and look at the next one. I believe it's Poe Dameron.
Yes.
In his X-Wing, the Oscar Isaac character. And it was revealed in that video that says that has that inflate joke on it, like on the live vest.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, press to inflate or something of that nature. But you can see very well the logo of the Rebels, and still hasn't really changed that much from what I can tell. What do you think about his name?
It's interesting. It's I don't know. It's interesting.
He's the only one with the last name.
Yeah, with the first and last name. Yep. And I don't know. It's interesting first and last name because it's a definite Star Warsy name, if you want to call it Star Warsy.
It is.
And I think I didn't expect it. It's something new. It's fresh. It's something we haven't heard. Yeah. So
I don't know what do I expected when I see Poe though. The light goes on, and I think Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe was very dark, very brilliant. Man, an amazing writer who kind of walked the line. And so, and look at his helmet, right?
Yeah.
Black and red.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know what kind of character he's going to be. And I don't want to know, as I've said many times. But I think this is an interesting thing. And we'll see more about this as time goes on. Naming is important, as our friend Craig has always told us. And we've talked about quite often. There's something to that. So it's fun. When I told my older son Peyton about it, he said Poe, like in Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, yeah.
Which I didn't think about that either.
My other thought, too, was it's a shortening of something else.
Like?
I don't know. That's what I don't know.
Poe Ridge?
Poe, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Something like, you slice and dice Qui-Gon Jinn, so I wonder if something's in that vein. Poe, blank. Dameron. I don't know.
Oh, but interesting.
I don't know. It also, the name itself, too, it has kind of this Wedge Antilles feel to it. You know?
Very
it seems a very X-Wingy, rebel name to it. So I feel it fits them. So it works for me.
That's neat. So the next one, this was the first name that I saw when Jordan tweeted out. It's Kylo Ren. It's the individual. We don't know is male or female. And with the controversial quote, I'm putting in air quotes as no one can see, but air quotes around the controversial lightsaber. I don't know. My thoughts on the saber, I don't know if they've changed so much as I've just sort of been like, oh, okay. It is funny. At first I was not sure how it was practical, but nothing in Star Wars is practical. It's fantasy. And it was, beautifully done by Stephen Colbert. He, went to work on explaining the saber, and he was quite awesome with it. So I like this name a lot too. There's nothing here. I mean, it's hard to say you don't like any of these names because, like Mike Pilot was saying, there's no context to not like them, but they all sound mysterious. Kylo Ren could easily be the name of Poe Dameron. Kylo Ren in itself does not sound like an evil, sinister name like Maul or Savage Opress or something as literal as that. So, I mean, if he is in fact a Sith or she is in fact a Sith, that we don't have the Darth name, but this is it's cool, it's fun. I mean, we really don't have a lot of substance here, so to talk about because we don't know anything about it. We're just enjoying the exciting way that they presented this.
Well, it's interesting to me too. They give him a first and last name, Kylo Ren. It humanizes him. He's obviously portrayed here in the teaser trailer as a possible villain, a Sith of some sort. But with his name being
gorgeous planet,
it looks great. The darkness, the shot itself is incredible.
Snow and the trees, and it's wonderful.
And I think also, the name humanizes him in a sense where you don't know if he's good or bad in this point, and they're still putting it out there. I think maybe that's his name before he gets the Sith title.
Well, that's also the last of the blue ones too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Blue cards. And then, so take that for what you will. His number was 67. So then we move on to Daisy Ridley's character, Rey, on her speeder. I think this is wonderful. I think it's a gorgeous name. Very, very, very elegant in its shortness of lettering, if that makes any sense to me.
Yeah. Again, here, I'm going to go with it's a shortened name of something longer. Not really sure what that may be. I don't know. But obviously, she doesn't have a last name here. That's the kind of the big draw.
Well, that's what people say, but maybe that is her last name. I mean, it could easily say...
Oh, that's true.
Let's pretend like this is Luke. It could say Skywalker on his speeder. You know what I mean? Maybe this is the last name. Who knows?
Could be.
It could be a nickname. I don't know, but certainly there seems to be a proclivity towards people thinking Rey is a Skywalker. I mean, that just stands to reason, but I don't know.
We don't know at this point.
Like Steve said, we're trying to stay clear from spoilers, and it's harder and harder to do, but in any way, that just fits. The other names, it sounds weird to say, and maybe this will make sense to people listening, but when I look at Poe Dameron, I'm like, okay. And I look at Kylo Ren, I'm like, okay. But when I see Rey, she looks like Rey. Does that make sense?
I guess so. I mean, this is the name that I had the hardest time latching onto for this character. It's just, I mean, I've settled on it, and it's fine, but I mean, there's something missing. Obviously, there's something missing in my vision here of this character so far. I mean, I think also they left the last name off to give it some mystery. So I think that if it would have said Rey Skywalker,
or maybe the first name.
What's that?
You said he left the last name off, but maybe it's the first name. I know I keep.
Oh, sure, right. It could be that too. But I mean, I think we're going with first name basis here. I would think that if they wanted to leave the name off, they're looking to speculate some more for fans to get excited. And if it, what are your thoughts on if it had said Rey Skywalker on her speeder? Would that change your opinion at all?
No, I mean, just being like, oh, okay, neat. That's. But
would it ruin some of the magic?
Well, someone has said, maybe. No, I know what you mean. Someone has said to me jokingly, as a former student, he said, Mr. Fiddler, I'm talking about you, of course. He said, oh, I thought Coffee with Kenobi was against spoilers. We sure are.
This is official.
But this is official. This is something that they are deliberately putting out there officially. So when they do that to me, that's not, I mean, it's spoiler-ish, I guess, but it's not a spoiler as far as we're getting out things that are not designed to come out when they do. So that's why I was okay with it.
And I sitting here as we talk, speculating about this, we're not going to,
Yeah. You can guarantee that we don't know.
Yeah, we have no clue.
And we don't want to know.
Sure.
So let's go to the next card. This is my favorite one.
Yeah. His look is excellent.
It's John Boyega. It says Finn on the run. Mm-hmm. And look, I did my thesis for my graduate degree on Mark Twain. So when I see this, look, let's just address the elephant in the room. There were a lot of people who voiced concern that there was a black stormtrooper. Mm-hmm. So then I see, let's just be honest, that's ridiculous. How do we not know? Maybe every single stormtrooper in the original trilogy was black. We don't know. The only ones we saw with their helmets off was Luke and Han.
Yeah, right? That's really all we saw. Yep.
So we don't know. Maybe they're all black. So when I look at this and I see Finn, Huckleberry Finn is, to me, the most complex character in all of literature, and I'm insanely biased and blissfully so. So when I see someone like this, and his name is Finn, I think this shows incredible character and strength and nuance, and it just gets me even more excited for whoever John Boyega Finn is going to be. So, to me, this is phenomenally exciting. I'm just over the roof. This is my highlight.
Phenomenally?
I did. Yes, I did.
You're pretty excited. I see.
I am. I mean, it's great. It's like a Mark Twain influence, and again, this is just me, pontificating.
So you're thinking his first name's Huckleberry?
No way.
Not like Val Kilmer. I'll be Huckleberry.
Not even close. No, it's just cool. Just the name Finn is strong.
Yeah, it is.
It shows integrity and strength, and it shows going against the status quo to what is in your heart. This will be fun to see how Finn fits into that notion. Someone had joked with me, well, hope it's not like Pat Finn. He's horrible. Yes, he is horrible. He's one of the most evil characters who ever was created. So, but I doubt that. I think he's going to be one of the good guys. That's just my theory.
Yeah, I feel that too. He comes across, even in that brief of scene, he comes across as a hero in my eyes. And if he's not, I'll be kind of disheartened a little bit. But you don't think Finn is short for Phineas?
No, I do not. I finally did see that Phineas and Ferb special, by the way, the Star Wars one. Did you see it?
No connection there?
I doubt it.
I don't think so either.
I highly did. Did you see that special?
I have not. No.
Yeah, it wasn't for me.
Well, kids love it. So
yes, they do, and that is all that matters. So the next two are not really.
Well,
they're not characters.
I'll speak to
Stormtroopers.
The next one.
Yeah,
I was kind of surprised to call them Stormtroopers.
I was too.
I know they are Stormtroopers. They look like Stormtroopers, but to me, they're like just from the. I'm going back to my memory in the teaser trailer. They looked upgraded. They looked, RoboCop-ish. They're very polished, and I was hoping they would, be called something like Ultra Stormtroopers or some kind of that gradient of style of naming. But, there's the classic Stormtroopers, so...
Or like an accent Stormtrooper.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting they do in the shot. I do notice that the one they focus on is shorter than all the others.
Yeah, true.
So, I don't know if that plays in the storyline or if that's just a guy who just made the cut. I don't know.
I don't know. It's fun, though. I guess this is, again, we talk about this later on our show with Steve Sansweet. And it's just neat. I think... When the trailer was released, the teaser trailer, I think it was just to show people who had gotten away from stuff. It was to excite the fans that are us, that listen to podcasts, that tweet, that blog, that go to conventions, that collect the figures, that just, the rabid fans that we are. But I also think it was thrown out there to get people who maybe had gotten off the Star Wars wagon a little bit and bring them back and say, hey, look, we have Stormtroopers again. We've got X-Wings. We've got the Millennium Falcon. Oh, look, there's a TIE fighter. Don't you feel like you're back to where you were when you were a kid? So It was pretty genius from that regard.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of presentation. I feel like it's really a mixed presentation because, they're really, really hard and fast on the 1977 appeal. But yet, there is a vibe of the prequels, I feel. And even in the teaser trailer itself had that feeling to me.
The pod race thing.
Pod race feeling, yes. The crispness of it, that newness of it. The new film stylings and angles and whatnot. So, yeah, they're doing a great job of presentation, and I've been excited all the way.
So the next one is the X-Wings. And I hadn't noticed this until, I guess was maybe in, there was a video, or I can't remember how I noticed this, but maybe it was in an article. But when you look at how the X-Wings, open up to get into combat mode, look at how they're different now. They don't just
they're not
open up.
fully open. They're kind of
they're
halfway.
They kind of open down, like it opens out the side, and like there's an extra exhaust. And it looks more sleek and powerful.
How about that blue stripe?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I didn't even notice until you said that.
Oh yeah, that was in the video with J.J. Abrams when he was
you're right.
talking about the charity event and. I know I went back to that, but it seems like they all have blue stripes now, like the one in the front and then the one in the background there.
Right.
And then, it's interesting that, they would kind of stray from that, or if maybe it's a different class of X-Wing of some sort. I don't know.
Maybe. Do you like how the S-foil's open now?
Yeah, it's almost like a tri-open, or even if the wing itself looks like it's kind of tilted a little bit, tilted up, bent up, going outward. So it's an X with an extra tip on it, if you want to say it, look at like that way.
Sure.
But yeah, it looks cool. It looks, and the scene itself when they're going across the water like that is so cool. It is so awesome. I love that. So it like you said before, it gets you just jazzed up for this entire new movie.
Well, you wonder, now that we've seen Rebels, we've seen the vehicles that we have known in space to be on planets. So I think when I saw the X-Wing going across the water, it didn't make me gasp as much as it probably would have, because we've seen it in Rebels. But most people are like, oh, look at the X-Wings on the water. And it is a gorgeous shot. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, just the tapestry of what this film is going to look like frame by frame. Remember that book Frames that Abrams sent to us and that we got to look at?
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, hopefully they'll do something like that for this, because JJ's, again, got that eye for the visual quality without sacrificing story, like our friend who directed Man of Steel. So, anyway, let's just move on to the next card. The last card, Millennium Falcon, dude.
It's a classic scene, and like you said, again, it's planetary. So everything here we see here is planetary. Mm-hmm. It's the classic Millennium Falcon going up against two TIE fighters.
Yeah, and I guess we do see an X-Wing leaving the surface on Yavin and on Hoth, but that's leaving.
That's a little
the planet.
different. Yeah, I mean, they're not engaging in combat, which maybe they are or not. We don't know, but
well, this clearly seems to be combat, and I think in the card you can clearly see that the radar dish is now square shaped.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I mean, there are certain things that I know are different, even though I can't quite explain why.
It looks a little cleaner.
It does. It looks pretty slick. So, again, we spent more time talking about those names than I expected we would. We kind of more about the whole overall thing in general, but pretty exciting.
Well,
we should check out the link in our show notes because it's as we've said, it's a really neat way to explain it, and to reveal it, and it's very fun. I can't wait. Everything that we get gets that way. It's just so much fun.
Are you gonna get the rest of the set of the cards if they debut?
If they come
like
out
a whole
with these
set
cards,
of
wouldn't it be great if as part of the publicity that they just sent them out?
Oh my gosh, yes.
That would be, I'm sure everyone thought that would be fun. But that was not the only news that was revealed. And the exact same day before that, actually, Corey and I were excited. Mm-hmm. We got our press passes for Celebration Anaheim.
Yes.
So this is the first time we've ever actually gotten press passes. First time we've ever applied, because we haven't really gone to any conventions since we started Coffee with Kenobi. So that is really, really exciting. We were very, very honored by that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of one of those things that you feel like you've kind of arrived as a podcast, maybe a little bit. Not necessarily arrived. Maybe that's not the right word. Maybe it feels like it's. It
feels sort of official, I guess.
Official in a sense of just being recognized as part of a gathering of an event of some sort.
Of a greater whole. Yeah, we're just a small cog in this exciting vehicle of fandom, but happy to spin our wheels.
Right, exactly, and we enjoy doing it. I think that we put forth a lot of effort to be able to bring out some fun content and involve everybody, and so I'm excited to go. I mean, this again just puts us one step closer to getting on that plane and in a few months checking out the event and getting over to Anaheim and be able to meet everybody and do all kinds of crazy stuff. I was listening to Full of Sith today, and
I was too.
Listening to Mike go on about it was be his first celebration. This would be my first celebration. Mm-hmm. It's exciting just to go, wow, look at this, look at that, here's this guy, and here's this person, and you're shaking people's hands, and you're just having a blast because you're around fans that just like you, and you can just engage in Star Wars.
Yeah, it's neat. And at some point, we're going to start discussing our Coffee with Kenobi meet and greet at Celebration Anaheim. As far as what day or where that's going to be, that is yet to be determined. But it is something we're certainly interested in, and many of you have graciously asked us about it. So that is certainly something we want to happen. So stay tuned on that.
announcements keep coming out, and still talking about Celebration Anaheim. They confirmed that the cast of Rebels is going to be there for a panel. All the folks that we've been talking to on our show here are going to be there. Taylor Gray and
Freddie, and Vanessa, and Steve.
Yep.
And it's pretty, and Tia. It's pretty neat. I mean, that's not really a shock in any way.
No, but it's great news.
It's very great news. And I'm glad they announced it when they did, because this seems like something that we were expecting anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And as exciting to me, I mean, we're going to hopefully get a chance to meet them in person, which would be wonderful. And it is as accommodating and gracious as they are with their time, fans are going to get to interact with them. I mean, that's just, they didn't officially come out and say that, but I mean, and I'm sure there's going to be
they'll be able to sit in a panel and
you get to ask them questions and see them and hopefully get a picture or something.
Right. But I think too, Dan, they also put out there that they are announced that season 2 is coming out, but they're going to release the season 2 premiere at Celebration Anaheim. They announced that this past week too.
Which that's pretty awesome. So when we're there, we'll get to see season. I mean, I assume at the end of season 1 there'll be a cliffhanger that just based on how they're talking about it. So if you're at Celebration and you get in the right line, and all the stars line up, you're going to get to see the premiere of season 2 a few months before it airs on television. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It'll be fun to watch it with a bunch of Star Wars fans.
Yes, exactly.
On
a huge screen. Yeah, definitely.
Well, the next news story is one that's it's beautiful, but it's a little bittersweet for me, and I'll explain that. But Yoda is going to be in Star Wars Rebels. That in itself is great. But that's not the big news about it, though. What tell me the big news, Corey.
Well, everybody knows Yoda, of course, an iconic figure, if not more than Darth Vader himself. But to bring that character to life, the talented Frank Oz voiced him in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and he's returning again for Rebels. It's huge. That's huge. It's iconic, and it really gets my thought process going. It's the spectacular Tom Kane did an excellent job in Clone Wars, and he's an excellent voiceover actor. But obviously Frank Oz is coming in to return to the character he made famous, and I want to say that maybe it's an older version we were going to be able to see in Rebels.
What do you mean?
Well, Frank has a version of doing Yoda that would be it seems like it'd be an older Yoda voice, where Tom is more of a younger.
I see what you're saying.
Is that too much speculation?
As far as the timbre of the voice,
sure,
kind of a thing. But I mean, we know that during the time of Rebels, Yoda's exiled to Dagobah, self-exiled. I guess you could argue that, but for his own safety, because there's this guy named Darth Vader that's out there, and he doesn't have a lot of patience for the good side of the Force at that point in the Star Wars timeline. So he's going to. They've already said he's just going to appear as the voice, similar to what Liam Neeson did in the Yoda arc at the end of the Clone Wars season 6. So it's wonderful. But I had mentioned before that it's bittersweet for me, and here's why. Okay. So this is a good time as any to announce that we have a very exciting guest that's going to be on Coffee with Kenobi that is going to premiere later in the month of December. Here's a clip.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are, with Dan Z and Corey Club, the podcast you're looking for. This is. Yes.
So, Yoda. Tom Kane is going to be on Coffee with Kenobi. And Tom is a wonderful man. And when we got that radio idea, I didn't even dare to dream that would actually happen. And, it blew my mind. I played it 4 or 5 times in a row, and the kids kept saying, play it again.
Yeah,
what did your kids do?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we played it 3 or 4 times at least, and they were all excited to hear it for real. And just, I don't know, you just hear that voice and just so much weight to it. And Tom does such a great job. He was
there's
excellent.
Such a strong dignity that there's also some just kindness there too. It's just the guy he is. So that's why we're bittersweet, because as much as, having Frank Oz in the original, it adds a lot of gravitas to Rebels, which already had an incredible amount of clout anyway. But we're partial to Tom because, we got to speak with him, and he was just such a great man. He said on Facebook that he'd have loved as an actor to get a chance to do it. He thinks it's really, really exciting that Frank Oz is doing that, and that just speaks to the character and the kind of person that Tom Kane is.
Hi, this is Thomas Riddle
and Wes Dodgens
of Stars in the Classroom, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z and Corey Clubb.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
Well, joining us for this exciting little section here of Coffee with Kenobi, we have Thomas Riddle and Wes Dodgens from Star Wars in the Classroom. The guys from Star Wars in the Classroom are no stranger to Coffee with Kenobi's listeners because they do such a great job promoting Star Wars and education, and of course the wonderful Rogues program that I'm honored to be a part of. It seems like it's such a long time coming, but here we are, and welcome Wes and Thomas to Coffee with Kenobi.
For having us on, guys.
Thanks, guys. We're glad to be here.
Absolutely. Well, it's great to have you, and as I said at our intro, which has been such a long time coming, and we've had such a wonderful time collaborating with classroom activities through Twitter, through Facebook, through so many things. And let's just, for those of our listeners who have not heard, what is it about Star Wars that is such a natural fit for the classroom?
Well, I think that Wes and I have always, as teachers, followed the idea that you need to have a natural hook for kids, and something that's really engaging for them to pull them into the content. And Star Wars is such a great hook, a fantastic hook, to introduce kids to concepts across multiple disciplines. Be it social studies, ELA, math or science, the arts, music. So it's just a way to engage kids in some really authentic learning.
So guys, growing up in high school, I didn't get a whole lot of pop culture references into some of my studies and stuff, but I did have one teacher that influenced me as far as using Indiana Jones in that way that you guys are talking about there. But talk about some of the new and exciting things that are going on with Star Wars in the classroom.
Well, just to make a connection to what you were talking about with your
sure
super cool teacher, using Indiana Jones. That's how we really kind of started. Wes and I collaborating was teaching with Young Indy, the Young Indy series. That's how we first got into doing some work with Lucasfilm around the Young Indiana Jones series. So yeah, there's some great connections with Indy also. But as far as Star Wars in the classroom, what's new? I guess our latest initiative is called Star Wars Rebels Connections, and so we're putting together lesson resources for each episode, and trying to facilitate the use of Star Wars Rebels in classroom settings. And so, our whole purpose is trying to create a platform for teachers to where it's as easy as possible for them to integrate ideas from Star Wars into their lessons. And so, with Rebels Connections, we're trying to draw connections between what is happening in the episodes with certain subject areas like history or science or what have you. So we just launched that new portal on StarWarsInTheClassroom.com this past weekend.
And what has the response been like so far? Have you received a lot of lesson plans from the Rogues, or how has that gone so far?
Well, with the Rogues, we've received some lesson plans for other parts of the Star Wars saga outside of Rebels. So, for instance, Adam Watson has, of course, as some of your listeners may be aware, has an outstanding unit on teaching Star Wars and Shakespeare with Ian's work, and then we have some other teachers like Craig Dickinson who have contributed ideas and lesson plans that they've used. we want to continue to encourage teachers. So if you're listening, you're out there and you've got any ideas to teach with Star Wars, please send those in to us. But what we do is when we have those sent to us, we post them on each individual teacher's rogues page. And of course, like Dan, your great articles that you're doing for the official site, listeners, our followers can read that content there too. But as far as
thank you.
Yeah, so as far as Rebels Connections goes, this is stuff that we've just put out there, but we'd love to have some more ideas. As far as response from teaching with Rebels, we do have one teacher who just recently posted this week pictures from one of her lessons where she was using Empire Day and gathering forces in her class. And so we put some lesson ideas up there, some discussion questions, and she used those in class, ran with those, and then sent her students' responses to us. And so that was really cool to see something that you put out there, just over the that already being used in class has been really cool.
It's a phenomenal thing, and as an educator too, obviously, like there's just something about, what's his name? Was it Rafe Vasquez says, "Teach like your hair's on fire."
Right.
And he's I think that's his name, isn't it? He just I know his
I think you're right. Yeah,
his name is Rafe for sure, and he teaches Hamlet and Huck Finn to 3rd and 4th graders, and they understand it. And he talks about that passion that you can have for learning, and just being a part of the Rogues and just hearing you all talk and checking out the different plans that the Rogues have just makes you want to create things on your own. And personally, I haven't incorporated Rebels directly into my curriculum as of yet, but just as we're talking about this, is just kind of spinning your wheels. And I've seen the images and the writing prompts that have been provided so far, and they're wonderful.
Well, we appreciate that. Really, when Wes and I first developed the concept of putting together the Rogues, it was to create a forum where teachers could come together and share ideas, because this is my 24th year in education, and a lot of those years I've spent doing leading workshops with teachers, doing professional development training and such. And what I've found to be the most useful is not the content perhaps that I or another facilitator are delivering, but the conversations that occur around topics that are presented by facilitators between teachers who are passionate about what they're doing. So Wes and I really see ourselves as, besides content providers, really as facilitators, kind of, that progressive teacher, the guide on the side, if you will, where we're just trying to get teachers together to talk about, explore possibilities of how they can use their own talents to create their own content. I'm a very firm believer in adapt, don't adopt. And so, make things, modify content, modify ideas to your situation, because none of us in our classrooms are in the same situation. We're all teaching unique kids. And so, I think having those conversations is a valuable part of what we're doing with the Rogues.
Is there?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
I was going to say, is there like an age range you guys kind of key in on? Is this like, color me, incompetent here, but I'm not a teacher. But so is it more of like a grade school to high school range? Do you guys like, would this be something you guys could use in the college level? Or is this maybe not so much there? Explain a little about that kind of idea too.
Oh yeah, I think you can definitely use this across the K-18 spectrum. Not so much in early childhood, I think, but we do have a few professors outside of myself as an education professor. But we do have folks like Janice Liedel, who's one of our Rogue leaders, and a few other professors. Of course, Ian is a lecturer himself. Mm-hmm. That they do make connection between Star Wars in their content. And of course, over the years, there have been any number of college courses centering around the impact of Star Wars and doing really critical analysis of the saga. As far as in the K-18 space, I think you can get a lot of traction in middle school and high school, but even down to elementary school as well. I was just sharing a couple of days ago, and then again, Tony DiTerlizzi's The Adventures of Luke Skywalker is a fantastic read aloud for elementary school teachers because of the alliteration and the onomatopoeia that he uses in the text to go along with Ralph McQuarrie's fantastic illustrations. They're just it is just great. And so there's a lot of great books out there for young readers, like Adam Bray's DK title about monsters, and any number of scholastic books as well that can be incorporated into elementary classes to get kids excited about reading. I am the father of 3 boys, and one of them in particular was a very reluctant reader, I guess you would say. And what got him excited about reading was the Hunger Games. And, he just tore through that series. And anything that we can do to get kids reading anything, I'm excited about. I'm a big proponent of comics in the classroom. Of course, age appropriate and content appropriate, but there's a lot of high level of analysis that kids have to do when they're reading comic strips. And so, so that's why I said, I think you can get traction anywhere. A lot of the lessons that we've designed have been more perhaps in upper school ages right now, middle school and high school, but we've also made suggestions for books and ways that you can incorporate it into elementary as well.
Very good. And just hearing you, I'm glad that Corey asked that question, because sometimes it's hard to remember that not everybody's a teacher, because I'm just so used to being a teacher, and I know you guys are too. So bringing that's an important thing for people to kind of disseminate, because it's not always so obvious. That's just the thing, though. There's so many different levels that Star Wars appeals to, and that's certainly no different in the classroom setting. So I'm glad you brought that up, Corey.
Yeah, and I think too, what one of our goals is to provide opportunities for anyone, learners of all ages, to find something on our, in the content that we provide that might teach them something they didn't know. I hope that, there's a lot of people that are not familiar with Joseph Campbell and his work with the hero's journey. And so if they're just reading through, say our section on the hero's journey in our mythology area of the of Star Wars in the classroom, then hopefully they'll learn something new. And of course, what we're doing too with Rebels Connections is we're being very intentional about drawing a lot of historic or parallels to historic events. And so, comparing, for instance, the Barons, Baron, I just went blank on his name, in Rebels,
Rudor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Baron Rudor with Richtofen. Okay. And so, you can go to the website and get learn about, Richtofen through being introduced to him through the character of, Baron Rudor. And of course, we also then will provide you with some links to go further and learn more about Richtofen himself. So some links to video, some scholarly articles. So yeah, again, just a general reader, and somebody who's not a teacher can come here and discover hopefully some new things to learn.
Well, I feel like that's one of our main goals, or at least one of my main goals is, the initial reaction that a lot of folks have is, how in the world does Star Wars connect to education? What in the world is educational about Star Wars? And so one of the things that we really try to do is make the connection of, how is this educational? Here's what's going on in Star Wars, and here's how it relates to something that's going on or has happened in our world. And then the light bulb goes off and they start to see it.
Exactly.
Right.
It fosters a community. And speaking of a community, we've talked about the rogues, and I know that's been a very important topic of conversation throughout the history of Coffee with Kenobi. And we've got myself and Craig and Ryder, and Jay Krebs, all members of the Rogues for Star Wars in the Classroom. So, gentlemen, how can someone who's out there right now become a member of the Rogues? And just what is the Rogues for the uninitiated?
Well, the Rogues is an initiative that was launched, like we said earlier, just to bring teachers together who are currently teaching with Star Wars in some way, or would like to learn how to do that. And we hope, we look through all the applications that we get, and we're now to like 120 rogues, which is just fantastic. That's 122 teachers from around the world, because we have them from everywhere that are joining us. And it's an opportunity for these teachers to come learn more. As teachers, I think you'd agree, Dan, that, a goal is to encourage lifelong learning. And so we can always improve our craft. And so there's always new things to learn. And there's a lot of our rogues who say, who join us and say, I teach middle school math. I love Star Wars. I'm a huge fan. I don't know how to how to incorporate that into my classroom right now, but I want to learn. Well, great. Join the conversation and let's see how we can help you with that. And so, if you're in education, if you go to the main page, starwarsintheclassroom.com, and then go to the Rogues section, you'll see a sidebar over on the main page to the right that you can click on to learn more, and then it will take you to a link that says just fill that application out, and then that's just about it. We're also very we've had a few people who are not in education whatsoever. They're just very passionate fans, and they've asked, hey, can we be members of the Rogues? And that was especially early on. I think now folks understand that we are primarily a group of educators, and we do have people who are not teachers in traditional sense, who are special operations members, our Spec Ops team, which we're very excited about. Those members are those who are part of the Star Wars family, who have a real passion for education and are supportive of our mission to help encourage learning with Star Wars. And so we've been just very blessed to have a fantastic team of Spec Ops come on board, starting with Vanessa Marshall, who's just amazing, as you guys know. Mm-hmm. And then John Morton and Dak from The Empire Strikes Back, just a phenomenal man and scholar. Concetta Parker with Rancho Obi-Wan, Ryder Wyndham, who's an amazing author and does some great stuff. If you guys don't know, you guys might, but if your listeners don't, is just passionate about saving lives through blood donation. Mm-hmm. And so, I encourage you to get involved with following him. But Brian Young, of course, who's with Full Sith and Big Shiny Robot, and just an amazing writer himself, and Trisha Barr, Cole Horton, and our latest Spec Ops member is Tasia Valenza from Clone Wars, and a great voice actress, and who's really starting to reach out and give presentations, especially aimed at higher ed, helping people find their voice, find your ability, and find your special voice, and share it with the world, whatever that talent or ability is. So, we've just been thrilled to have the overwhelming support of so many people.
And not only are you talking about, quality content, but these are all quality people who are all in it, as you said, to educate to so many in so many myriad ways, which is a wonderful thing.
Oh, absolutely. And everyone has brings their unique talent set to the table. to provide assistance in encouraging learning. So
it's definitely, you guys have quite the roster there, and I'm sure you go on for days as far as all the folks that have the special talents bringing the table there. But we've kind of got a little bit of an announcement. I know Dan texts me a lot about the excitement surrounding this announcement as far as you guys kind of teaming up with us. You guys want to go into a little more details with that?
Yeah. So, oh gosh, Dan and I have been talking about this for quite some time, haven't we, man?
That's right. Many moons.
Well, yeah, since I think before summer.
Absolutely.
And we early on, when I first reached out to Dan and we started talking, we realized that there was a great deal of synergy between us as individuals and, of course, us as educators. And from what Coffee, the platform that Coffee Kenobi has, with being such a high quality podcast, really giving some deep analysis to Star Wars. So not just your typical fan site.
Thank you, by the way. That's really good.
Oh, well, no, I mean, that's obvious from the get-go when we first came across you guys. And it's just a natural pairing, of our two missions when we're trying to really get people to think and to analyze and to promote learning. And so, yeah, we're excited to be contributing to you guys now. I think that's going to strengthen our partnership, our collaboration with y'all, and we're looking forward to it. Wes and I will be contributing hopefully once a month starting in the new year, and it may come more often than that, but we have a couple of ideas for our names. All of you guys have such cool names for your segments on there, and so all the cool names are taken. That'll be my excuse.
Alliteration sure never hurts anything.
Not at all, So, we were thinking about something like Rogue's Ready Room, because the Ready Room is where, sticking with that theme of, the rogues being hotshot pilots, the Ready Room is that place on an aircraft carrier where, pilots are getting their briefing before they hit a mission, So we talked some about that. But if your listeners have any suggestions on, what the name of our segment could be, then we'd love to, send them in to us. We'd love to hear them. To let you know about what the segment's going to be about, I think what Wes and I will primarily talk about is how providing ideas on how you can incorporate Star Wars into learning. And it's not just in classrooms, you can be a parent and have kids that are passionate about Star Wars, and we'll talk about some things you can do with your kids outside of school, in the home. Or homeschools. Just in general, you don't have to be a teacher to get something out of this segment, I think. So we'll just talk about ways that, Star Wars can be used for learning. We'll also give shout outs to teachers who are teaching with integrating Star Wars in the classroom with their lessons. So, make sure that you get those ideas into us so you can be part of the conversation. And we'd love to, again, we're all about trying to promote people, great teaching and learning. There's a lot of fantastic teachers out there. Teachers don't get enough appreciation shown to them for the work that they do. And so, if we can give you a little bit of shout out, and get your wonderful work out there for others to see, and then we're all about that. So make sure you let us know about what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then we'll incorporate you into our.
You can let us know what you're doing. You can go to the site, starwarsintheclassroom.com, and you can email us, or you can find us on Facebook or Twitter at Star Wars in Class.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, and we will certainly have links to those things in the show notes. And this is just, as you so eloquently said, Thomas, this is something we've been planning for a long time, and the time is right. And we appreciate, again, your kind words and your sincerity. It's very humbling. You're both great men of faith and of the classroom, and beloved leaders in the Star Wars community and fandom. So the fact that we get to work together like this is a wonderful thing. We were already very blessed to have Rob Wainfur from the Bearded Trio, And now we have Thomas and Wes from Star Wars in the Classroom. So it's just a wonderful thing for Coffee with Kenobi. So we are very excited about it.
Well, we're excited to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Very good. Well, speaking of exciting, this is one of our favorite parts of every conversation over a cup of coffee, and we're going to ask both of you gentlemen our 5 questions.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And I think what we'll do, like we usually do when there are more than one guest at a time, we'll just throw out the question, and you can just take turns fielding them.
Okay.
All right, Corey, why don't you go ahead and start if you would?
Sure. Your favorite Star Wars movie?
Well, I think we can say this in unison.
You want to do it on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3.
The Empire Strikes Back.
That was great.
Wow. Nice. Okay, now this one, I wonder if this will be in unison as well. Who is your favorite character?
Oh, man.
Well, for me, it's Darth Vader. That one's easy.
And for me, I've always been a fan of the little green one, Kermit the Frog. I mean, Yoda. No, I've always loved the wisdom of Yoda, but I'm going to tell you what. After the prequels and then really Clone Wars, I'm a huge fan of Obi-Wan. I think he's got a lot of depth of character. I really, especially coming through the Clone Wars, appreciate him more as that character growing as a leader, growing as a mentor, and as trying to balance being a father figure and a brother at the same time to Anakin is a lot that I can relate to. And so, yeah, Obi-Wan, he's the man.
Hey, you certainly won't get a complaint from us on that.
I say we like him too.
Awesome.
So, your favorite line of dialogue or film moment?
Well, mine personally is from Episode 3, and it's near the end when Padme's in labor and the little robot says, "Uba."
That's definitely a first for us.
I had no idea he was going with that.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I keep telling my wife when she has our first child that I'm going to be there saying "Uba."
Oh, wait till I tell
Uba out the window, yeah.
But no, in truth, my favorite line would be Vader. I find your faith lack of faith disturbing. That's my favorite.
And I think for years in the classroom, I've used Yoda's "do or do not." There is no try. However, as a social studies teacher, line. So this is how democracy dies, to thunderous applause, is pretty powerful. So I think that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it is extremely prescient and very deliberate, I would say. So, gentlemen, if you collect, what is your favorite collectible that you own?
Well, I used to collect. I don't collect anymore. I stopped that years ago. But I would have to say that one of my personal favorite mementos from my Star Wars collecting days would be from when I was a child. I didn't have a lot of Star Wars toys growing up, but I always wanted a Luke Skywalker action figure. And still remember the day my mom came home from work and she got me the Luke Skywalker Jedi outfit, Return of the Jedi. And so I still have that, and it means a lot to me for some reason.
Absolutely.
And for me, I got a lot of play, the Death Star play set.
Oh, the Kenner one?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love
not
that.
Palatoy. I'm sorry, no disrespect to Palatoy, but
no,
I'm talking about the exploding laser cannon and the Dianoga and the trash compactor filled with foam.
Oh yes.
So I blessed to still have that, and I like that a lot. But the coolest one is close tie between that and the Imperial Troop Transporter. Love that toy.
Nice.
Glad to see it for the first time in action in Rebels.
Excellent stuff, guys. For the last question, what particular messages or themes about the Star Wars saga resonate or speak to you?
Well, for me, the story of both Anakin and Luke and how the message there, I think, is that we all get to choose our own path. We all get to choose whether we want to be good or we want to be bad. And I think that says a lot to our students, that we're trying to reach through Star Wars. Is not about where you've been, it's about where you want to go. And you start making the right decisions that are going to take you there.
Yeah. And I think mine have to do with redemption and grace and forgiveness. You see that character, he has to die to himself. In Empire Strikes Back, he tries to take control of his destiny himself, and he doesn't listen to his teachers, and he's going to handle things his way. And then he's faced with that temptation. When Vader says, "Come, join me," and then it's at that moment when he has to die to himself, and so literally taking that leap. In the Return of the Jedi, we then see someone who's now mature, and there's no anger or hostility to his father. It's grace that he shows him. That's really unmerited or unwarranted, unearned. And it's that love that he has, which leads to his father's redemption. So that's the theme I think I like the most, because that's been most powerful in my own life.
Right. Well, I mean, when I knew that you two were going to be on, this was the question I was most excited about hearing you both respond to. So thank you for that. Very, very well done.
Thanks.
Good.
You bet. So, gentlemen, I know you mentioned it earlier, but it's important to remind everyone, where can everyone reach out to you to ask you any questions or just say hello?
Folks can find us at StarWarsInTheClassroom.com.
And they can find us on Twitter at Star Wars in Class, and on Facebook at Star Wars in the Class.
Perfect. And we will certainly have that in our show notes as always. And gentlemen, we're looking forward so much to the collaboration, and everyone out there. If you have an idea of a name, of course, Rob's is your Espresso Shot with the Bearded Trio. What kind of catchy little slogan or phrase should we have for our friends from Star Wars in the Classroom for their segments? Send us a tweet at both of our accounts at Coffee with Kenobi and at Star Wars in the Classroom, or an email, anything you want to do, and we will certainly put that to the vote and see what happens.
Very cool.
Sounds great.
Yeah, and gentlemen, thank you again so much. We look forward to many more conversations and dialogue in the future. Yeah, have a wonderful day and a Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Merry Christmas to you guys, too. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks. We enjoyed it, guys.
Yep. And now, let's join Rob Wainfur as he pours your espresso shot with the Bearded Trio. And now, your espresso shot with the Bearded Trio.
Hi everyone, welcome to another Espresso Shot with the Bearded Trio with me, Rob Wainfur. I hope you've all had a fantastic Christmas and you're not too blurry-eyed. The news doesn't stop, so let's get straight to it. So let's start with Bob Iger, who was being interviewed at Variety's Dealmakers Breakfast. And with all the Star Wars goodness being shared lately, it was nice to get a tiny bit of Indiana Jones news, albeit very, very small. In the interview, Iger teased us with this quote, and he said, "We'd love to make another Indiana Jones movie, but we're pacing ourselves right now." So there you go, Indy, it seems, is kind of on the radar, but I doubt we'll be getting anything for a few years yet. And sticking with Indiana Jones, the popular TV show Mythbusters will be doing an Indiana Jones special. Now, some of the experiments they'll be exploring, for instance, can a whip be used as a rope swing off a tree branch? They will be replicating the scene at the beginning of Raiders where Indy uses his whip to swing across to freedom. You know the part. Throw me the idol, I'll throw you the whip. No time to argue. As I say, it all starts January the 10th with the Indy episode on the 17th. Well, it's that time of year again where we start to get the major award nominations. The Grammys have announced their nominees via Twitter, and John Williams is amongst them for his work on The Book Thief. The category is for Best Instrumental Composition. In the category for Best Soundtrack, the nominees are Frozen, Gone Girl, The Grand Budapest Hotel, Gravity, and Saving Mr. Banks, starring Tom Hanks. The Grammys will take place on the 8th of February. Showmasters have announced that the cast of Back to the Future, or most of them, will reunite for London Film and Comic Con, which takes place on the 17th, the 18th and 19th of July at the Olympia in London. At the time of writing, Michael J. Fox hasn't been announced yet, but there is a strong rumour he will be attending. Christopher Lloyd will be there with an opportunity for you to have your photo with him next to the clock face, replicating the photo in Back to the Future 3. Another photo opportunity is for you to be in costume and set against a green screen, which will transform you on the clock tower and with lightning striking. This all sounds pretty heavy, and I will be reporting from the event. Well, I hope to see you there. Strange Magic will be hitting cinemas on January the 23rd, and Touchstone have released a TV spot for the George Lucas written full-length animated movie. Check it out.
A goblin king, that's me, wants to take over the forest.
Sound the alarm.
Yeah, right.
To stop him, they'll need magic.
Like a potion.
Great idea. Courage.
I'm sorry, but I have to do this. You okay, little guy? Oh, good. Bye.
And a hero who's taking matters into her own hands.
I was expecting more.
Uh-oh. Strange Magic starts January 23rd. Rated PG.
There you go, Strange Magic out on January the 23rd. Keep up to date on the movie on Facebook and Twitter, and just type in Strange Magic. Moving to Jurassic World, and Irvin Khan, who will be starring in the Dino movie, talked to Hollywood Reporter at the River to River Florence Indian Film Festival. And obviously Jurassic World was the hot topic. He was asked what he could tell us about the movie. He said, "I'm playing the park owner, a very flamboyant person. When the first Jurassic Park came out, I barely had the money to see it, and now I'm playing a part. He's trying to entertain the world with good intentions, but sometimes being flamboyant doesn't mean having much wisdom." He was also asked what can people expect from this film that's different from the original. "For sure, it will have more vibe," said Khan. "It's the Jurassic World of these times, with all the technical experimentation. It has now become a fully bloomed dinosaur amusement park. Dinosaurs in this film will definitely be scary, but this is not a horror film, so it will be like a scary adventure." Mark your diaries for June the 12th, 2015 in the UK and USA for Jurassic World. And finally, 1,400 episodes and 9 years of The Colbert Show came to an end a few weeks ago, and to see the show off, Stephen Colbert sang a rendition of We'll Meet Again. Accompanying him was a whole host of guests, and one certain George Lucas, who, I'll be honest, looks like he didn't do the rehearsal, but showed what a good sport the Star Wars creator is to be amongst the guests seeing off Colbert. Well, that's it for your quick espresso shot with the Bearded Trio. Just want to say happy birthday to Steven Spielberg, who turned 68 on December the 18th. Thanks for listening. I hope you can pop by the Bearded Trio website, check out the main site. We update daily. We're also on Facebook and Twitter too. Also pop across to the Coffee with Kenobi site and have a look at my monthly blog posts. My latest one is a vlog on the top 10 Star Wars video games as voted by the fans. Thanks again, and I hope everyone has a fantastic 2015. May the Force be with you all. Goodbye.
Han Solo, Rebel Soldier, Lando Calrissian, and Bespin Guard, each sold separately. From Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back collection, new from Kenner.
Looking? Found someone you have, I would say, Your lightsabers will make a fine addition to my collection.
Rancho Obi-Wan has certainly been discussed frequently on Coffee with Kenobi. The legendary collection of the finest Star Wars collectibles in the galaxy is now offering the chance to become a Rancho Recruiter. And we can think of no better guest to tell us all about it than President and CEO of Rancho Obi-Wan, Steve Sansweet. Welcome back, Steve.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Wonderful. Good to see you, my friend.
Well, good to be back on.
Yes, absolutely. And we are glad that everyone is afloat and ready for action.
Well, literally, yes. Yeah. Finally rains in Northern California after a long drought. So we're just coping as usual.
Absolutely. Well, we would expect nothing less. And I got to say, before we jump into it, when we had you on before, we asked you who your favorite character was, and you said, well, it's not Rancho Jar Jar. And I cannot tell you how many times I have laughed out loud thinking about that.
That came to me the first time, well, hello.
Yeah.
It was outstanding. Well, you have there are exciting things going on in Rancho Obi-Wan, but this is a really particularly special time. We've got Rancho Recruiting going on. Tell us about the Rancho Recruiter membership drive and how it came about.
Well, we were having a board of directors meeting and talking about how we increase the number of members of Rancho Obi-Wan. It's one of the chief ways that we as a nonprofit raise money and keep growing our fan community. As you know, none of the money we raise goes to buying stuff, but it does go to protect and preserve the collection and pay the bills around here. Believe me, they're not covered by tours. And we do feel that we are a center of fan community especially since there's no Star Wars official fan club anymore. And we have from the beginning tried to, in a small way, fill some of that role by, having annual membership kits and doing some really, really cool things for our members. And somebody said, well, yeah, I remember back in the old days when the fan club did the official Rebel Recruiter, and it was like the flash of lightning went off in the room. And so, like, everybody all together started chatting, and somebody said, Rancho Recruiter, and it was born. And one of the things that I really love is the fact that not only are we going back to the early days of fandom, but we're sort of borrowing the symbol, but changing it in a way, because the symbol, of course, for Bantha Tracks, the fan newsletter, was a Bantha. And our symbol for Rancho Recruiter is a Bantha, except it's a fan-made Bantha piñata. What could be better? and what could really, really tie the two together better than that? And so, we have now adapted that as our symbol for Rancho Recruiter. And we're hoping to be able to get people excited by that. And we have a couple of different deadlines and different awards. And but right now we're having a lot of fun. We just launched it at the beginning of the month, and we're going to continue it. Certainly continue to promote it through Celebration and then past Celebration, and there's a pretty amazing grand prize for the person who refers the most number of people.
I'll say.
So,
yeah. I was gonna say.
Okay, you can.
It probably is better coming from you.
Okay, well, there are individual prizes, and just like the original Rebel Recruiter, if you recruit one person, you get them to use your name as the referral, you get one of our colorful badges, official Rancho Obi-Wan Rancho Recruiter, and this one has a photograph of the Bantha piñata on it. If you recruit two, then you also get a beautiful embroidered patch. Where our good buddy Kurt Swan has done an amazing transfer into art of the Bantha piñata. You can tell it's not meant to be a real Bantha, but the piñata. And finally, for three recruits, that you get the T-shirt, which I think a lot of people will remember back in the Rebel Recruiter days, the blue and white T-shirt, but again with our Rancho Recruiter symbol in the middle. And then the person who refers the most new or renewing members by next September 1st wins the grand prize, which is a trip to Rancho Obi-Wan. There are some limits to attend the 2015 Halloween annual fundraising event. And this is going to be quite an event. I me're starting to plan it now. We've got some great surprises, and some great guests and things that we're working on for Halloween, and some things that have never been displayed at Rancho Obi-Wan before that will be unveiled that evening of October 24th. Now, we limited it to a certain amount of money because one of the frustrations I always had at Lucasfilm was because of all of the legalities and everything else. Anytime we had a contest, and there weren't that many of them, we had to limit it to mainly to people in the United States. Well, our membership and our fans are worldwide. And so we've put a dollar limit on it. For most people in the U.S., this will cover a round trip ticket and at least one night in a nearby motel, and will get you to Rancho Obi-Wan and back. And so we've put a limit of $750 on it. But that also means that if somebody in Norway wins it, they can apply that to the best price trip that they can get to. Star Wars fan community is worldwide and increasing, not only in numbers again because of the promise of all the excitement coming up in the next several years, but also in areas of the world that really didn't have much to do with Star Wars the first time around, and not that much even the second time around. And I'm talking about huge areas of the world like China. And certainly there's a 501st now in mainland China, in Russia. It's incredible how Star Wars has just not only kept up its fan base, but has increased and added generations.
Certainly has. And you know, you guys have always been a great supporter of great things. And we here at Coffee with Kenobi Dan and I are both members of Rancho Obi-Wan, and we support you guys. So you have some good vibes out there to send great messages to folks. And talk to us a little about some of the fundraisers you guys had this year and the gala that you guys had, and how that went for Rancho Obi-Wan this year.
The fundraiser always goes very well for us, and that's because we have a lot of wonderful friends among licensees and artists who actually give us stuff to be auctioned off. I think a lot of people come here for the auctions, not so much to, even if they don't win something, it's sort of the excitement of watching me make a fool of myself doing the live auctions and sort of slobbering at some of the things that I would like to buy. And then we have a silent auction where we get some really cool one-of-a-kind stuff and some historical stuff from the Rancho Obi-Wan duplicate collection that goes for, really reasonable prices. And it's just, again, the sense of community that we love so much. This year, we were able to premiere our Jabba the Hutt banquet room, and we had a belly dancer back there. Jabba was just disgusting. I mean,
he's not a good belly dancer, is he?
He's really let himself go.
That his tongue really does move. It can be operated inside the tongue and the arms. This was an amazing piece built by the New England Garrison, and given to us as a gift. And then our friend Carl Cunningham, operated his Salacious Crumb. So between that and Jabba looking at the boy, it was really shocking. I mean, just almost crossing into double X. No, we don't do things like
extra
that.
Large, right? You're an extra large.
Extra large. Yes, of course. That's what I meant. You got it, Corey. You got it. So we had some great fun there, and we do two fundraisers a year. We usually do one in the spring, which is an eBay online fundraiser, and one in the fall, which is our in-person. We invite a lot of Star Wars guests, some of whom actually show up. And it's all according to what's happening and how busy people are and what else they're doing. But as I said, we already have some wonderful plans. There is a reason we call it Galloween this year. It's the week before Thanksgiving. Halloween. So we don't, we know Halloween in the U.S. tends to be a family, kind of affair. So, we want to make sure everybody has fun at that. But, this will be sort of Halloween related. So, we're going to have some fun with that. So we've got lots of events. We're really looking forward to Celebration this year because one of the things I love just about the most is, even though I collect everything, is the art and the fan-made artifacts. And that is what our exhibit this year is all about. So we're going to have some amazing things that people have not seen before, things that, actually I've been looking for on the back shelves for a couple of years, and we finally had dug some out. So we have actually already laid out a little more than half the items that we're going to be bringing, and we'll have the rest picked well in advance. We've got some really nice surprises for Celebration too. So we're fans. We know fans want to be treated well. We've been treated well in the past, and we will continue to treat our members and our fans very well. As part of the annual membership is $40. You get a membership kit. There's a new exclusive patch every year. Renewing members get a new exclusive metal pin every year. And there's some historic memorabilia. We've started a series of Obi-Wan costume cards showing how the Obi-Wan costume developed. And that will continue for a couple of years. Then you also get a 10% online discount. The only way to buy online Rancho Obi-Wan merchandise is to be a member. You get a 10% discount as a member online or here in person. And then you need a membership. At least one person needs a membership in order to tour Rancho Obi-Wan. But a lot of our members live far away, and while we certainly hope they all get a chance to visit, we get tons of support from people who, don't have any immediate or near-term plans to visit. So that's always heartening when we see things like that. Oh, and there's also a holiday card. And as it turns out, our friends at Lucasfilm have stopped sending out holiday cards.
I know. They're doing the digital thing now.
I didn't even get a digital one. Have you?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. I thought now they've really taken me off their list.
No. I was told that, I don't know how much we're supposed to say. I guess it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, they said they've gone to digital now, which is, interesting. We finally get on the list and we're getting a digital card. But hey, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, a lot. And I'm getting a lot of digital cards these days, and the number of sent cards keeps going down. But once again, if there's no official fan club and there are no official holiday cards, we want to be there. I mean, it costs us, but that's part of what at least some of us old timers remember and would love to continue, and we do continue.
So Rancho Obi-Wan will be sending out a Christmas card?
Yours is in the mail, kid.
All right. That's good. That's
we may even send Corey one. I don't know.
Excellent. I was a member before he was.
We're still debating that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Our cards should start showing up. In fact, I got a phone call today from, I think, North Carolina, and somebody saying, I just got your card, and I just, you guys still send cards out. I'm just blown away, and thank you, and it's wonderful, and we really appreciate it. It was designed by a longtime friend of mine over in the UK, a guy named Phil Harrison, who does some really nice design work, and it's just really fun. If you've never seen Obi-Wan in stained glass for Christmas, you're about to.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's fun.
How much input do you have in the design of these, or do they just say, hey, here's some ideas?
Oh, no, we have total input. Well, in this one, Phil sent this as his special one-of-a-kind card to me last year. And I said, I love this. Could we change this little thing here and that? And that's how our holiday card came about. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah. So again, it's fans working with fellow fans, and
Which is one of the reasons why Rancho Obi-Wan and yourself are just so beloved by the community, because the way you foster things. Well, I'm sitting here as we're speaking, looking at the Rancho Recruiter page, which we have, as I mentioned at the top of the show, on our website, and it'll be in our show notes as well. And I am really drooling over that T-shirt. And you had mentioned something interesting.
So am I. I've got to find 3. Hey, can I? Oh no, you're already in.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't count when we renew, does it?
No, it has to be a new member, or someone who hasn't been a member for a year.
Right, that makes sense. And so the way it happens, as Stephen mentioned, is you go on and you sign up, and you can once you are a member, you get other people to sign up your recruit. Personally, I'm going to take to Twitter. I think that's an excellent way to generate excitement. And it's 3 people sign up and you get the T-shirt, correct?
Well, 3 people sign up, you get all 3.
Oh wow!
Right. If you get 1 person to sign up, you get the badge. If you get 2 persons, 2 persons. Oh, good Lord!
You're not talking to an English teacher.
There goes there. Oh, I can see every English teacher I ever had cringing right now.
I'm one, right?
I'm really in bad shape.
That's all right.
If you get 2 people to sign up, you get the badge and the patch. And if you get 3 people to sign up, you get the badge, the patch, and the T-shirt. That's what I said. We're fellow fans. We want all of it, you know. So yes. So you would get all 3, and then the person who recruits the most by next September 1st gets the trip to our annual gala.
It's so exciting. And this is just a wonderful thing you're doing, and generating that excitement too. I can just only imagine how many you're going to get to sign up at Celebration. Do you have a hard time narrowing down what to bring to Celebration?
Always.
It must be a nightmare. A good nightmare.
A good nightmare indeed. And this particular celebration, we know that a lot of people are coming out to the west coast of California for the first time in their lives, even from other places in the U.S., but certainly from around the world. So a year ago, almost, when Celebration was Anaheim was first announced, people started asking us, even at Celebration Europe, how soon will we open after the event? Because usually, it's an exhausting event, and we take several weeks off. And but this time, because we know people are traveling far, and this may be their one chance to see Rancho Obi-Wan, we're doing tours up until we leave for Anaheim, and tours the Wednesday after the show. I mean, we finish packing up Sunday and Monday. I'll sleep all day Tuesday, and we start tours again on Wednesday for 2 weeks. And
amazing.
It's really important to me to be able to have Rancho Obi-Wan open for maybe the one opportunity people are going to have for many, many years to be able to visit us. So we're increasing the usual numbers that we take on a tour by a little bit. We still want to make it a very special experience, and we don't want to have mobs here. But we're already starting to book up dates, both before and after. And so if people are interested, our calendars extend out, past, Celebration, and they can book a tour online, if they know, about when, either before or after, when they're going to be in the U.S. or be on the West Coast.
Well, and, just talking about this gets me even more rejuvenated for what's going to happen this summer, because my family and I are going to be in California, and we have Rancho Obi-Wan on our list. So we are very excited to finally get to go to Rancho Obi-Wan.
Well, I am very excited to have you coming out here then.
Absolutely. And you answered a question for me. I was going to ask if everyone needs to be a member to tour, and since I already am, I guess that's not the case. But maybe I'll try to convince them anyway, so I can wear the new T-shirt.
That's a great idea, and of course, we also have Padawan memberships. So
that's right.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, and the kids are going to love it. In fact, my oldest was just talking to me today about how much he can't wait to see it, and I said, "Well, we totally agree."
Well, for for some of your listeners who don't realize it, it's not just a museum. You pay admission and you walk through and, you read little things or even better museums where there are interactive things. It's interactive. It's because I lead the tours. And while we used to say 2-hour tours and then we say, well, they're really 3 hours. Well, guess what? Sometimes they last a lot longer than 3 hours. It's all according to the interest of the people and what they're interested in and how the tour goes. And everyone is different depending on who's there and what they're interested in and how long I can stand without, falling over. No, it's, we have collectors groups and I look at my watch and 6 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Holy hell. Although a bunch of that is spent playing the video games in the arcade, so that's always a fun way to end a trip to Rancho Obi-Wan.
We ought to make it where they need to actually use quarters, and then when they run out, then they'll have to leave.
No, they're all set on free play. It's sometimes getting the kids out of there is a little difficult, but fun. I mean, I love doing it. It's my fun. It's my so-called retirement.
Well, personally, I want to play the original Star Wars arcade game and blow up the Death Star at Rancho Obi-Wan. I think that would be a pretty neat thing to add to the bucket list.
It is, and especially because you don't have to lose, a pocket full of quarters to do it. As many of us remember doing back in the day, me in particular, I could never get that dumb thing through the trench. And I've gotten a lot better at it, though, because it doesn't cost anything now. So I can play more.
Steve's there late at night, trying every night. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, Steve, thank you again for talking with us about becoming a Rancho Recruiter. And tell us again when the deadline is and how people can sign up.
Well, the final deadline is September 1st of 2015. Although if you sign up, by sometime in March, then you will get your swag in time for, celebration. Wow. And you can find out everything about being a Rancho Recruiter by going to, ranchoobiwan.org. We are a nonprofit, so remember, it's org.
So be sure, everyone, to check it out. Again, we have links in our show notes and on the webpage and at ranchoobiwan.org. Steve, thank you so much for joining us again on Coffee with Kenobi.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Corey.
Our second collector news item, we're talking the Hot Wheels. We mentioned it with Steve a little while back, and they've got a new pre-orders coming out. They're for some 12-inch Hot Wheels toys. Dan, what's up with these?
You know what? And it's my fault. I when I was talking to Steve, I mentioned it wrong too. So that's the reason. But they're actually 6 inches. I guess I was looking at two of them.
You're right. Yeah, my fault.
So no, it's my fault for even saying it.
I was confused when you said it too. I think about it. That's all right.
Yeah, too bad I can't edit that conversation and fix that. But I mean, the downside, they're $70.
Yeah, well,
but the good side of this is, okay, we've got the X-Wing from Episode 4, the TIE Fighter from Episode 5, and the Falcon from Jedi. Personally, I'd rather have the Falcon from Empire, even though it's the exact same thing. That's just my move. And then it says the Force Awakens new starship, so we don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And we don't know what they look like. We just know that Hot Wheels is in Big Bad Toy Store taking pre-orders for it, so that's pretty cool. Not Star Wars related, but they've got a lot of Batmobiles on here, some Bond vehicles.
Yep.
So that's pretty fun.
Well, the other thing too is Hot Wheels seems to always have the...
You're not excited.
No, it's... I mean, I have to see it to believe it. I mean, Hot Wheels is not a big collector item for me. 6 inches of something Star Wars that's a Starfighter or X-Wing or TIE Fighter, Millennium Falcon. I mean, it'd be cool. Not too much into die-cast stuff. But, I'd take a look and see what the new Starship is and see what these other ones look like. I mean, they're going to look classic. Obviously, Hot Wheels does a good job. So I'm excited to see them and check them out. And who knows? We'll see.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It's the price point. They're expensive.
It is. $70 a pop for each of these. Maybe they're super detailed and they look great.
Well, I mean, if they're going to be $70 and they're 6 inches, I'm sure they're going to be heavy. I'm sure the quality of what goes into them is going to be more than your average plastic toy, most likely. We haven't even seen the prototypes yet. It's hard not to compare them to the ones that are at the Disney store now, which are not necessarily made of like a super sturdy metal, but they look gorgeous, and they're cheaper than this, and maybe they're probably comparable size-wise, but I'm intrigued. Without seeing them and just knowing how much they cost and knowing that man does not live on bread alone, nor does he live on Star Wars toys alone, I have to be more discerning. But if I had to pick one, I, of course, would pick the Falcon.
I think it'd be really cool if they did a ghost ship.
Oh, yeah. That would be cool. So, yeah, let us know what you think. Are you intrigued? Are you going to place a pre-order before you've even seen the images? Let us know.
Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view.
I must be allowed to speak.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
Our topic for show number 28 is your reactions to the Force Awakens teaser trailer. We asked you to share your thoughts, reflections, and comments, and asked Steve Sansweet for his comments as well. Welcome back, Steve.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, it seems like we just talked to you 5 seconds ago.
Yes.
It's just the old friends thing, I guess.
Uh-huh.
So how did you feel when you saw the teaser trailer for The Force Awakens for the first time? Where were you when you saw it? All that good stuff.
I saw it. Of course, I didn't know anything about it. And I think it was Concetta who first, texted me and said, "It's up!" And I think it was all capital letters because I said it that way. And so I quickly went on. Well, first of all, so I had my I'm ashamed to admit I still have my iPhone 4S. And so I'm looking at it on there, getting very excited and getting very frustrated. So I immediately went up to my office and looked at it on the big screen, and it was very cool. Now, to me, this is not a teaser trailer. I know that's what it's called. It's a tease, and it's a perfect tease because it really, really leads me wanting a lot more. A full teaser trailer, in my view, gives a little bit of the story, a little bit of the character. It still does not spoil too much, but we have to realize that this is a year before the movie comes out, and in fact that they had just finished filming the principal photography a few weeks before, and here is this amazing thing coming out, and a stormtrooper unmasked, and the strangest rolling marble droid I've ever seen in my life. And what is that thing that she's on? Is that a tractor that she's riding? I mean, it is all this kinds of stuff. And the X-Wings skimming over the water. It was very, very exciting. And it says, Star Wars is back, and you want to see more of this, don't you? So, I thought it worked very, very well for what it was.
I'm curious to know, Steve, did you have to stop a tour going through and just say, "Hold your place, we'll be right back"?
No, because it was
Black Friday.
It was in the morning. So, so I did not. We had a tour that day, and it was certainly the
talk of the
discussion. And everybody on the tour had seen it, of course, and they were all buzzing about it as I was, and some people say they were disappointed by it, that there could have been more. They are so much in the minority. I mean, I think it's clear that the vast majority of fans who have commented on it have really, really loved it and can't wait for more. So it's the perfect tease.
It most definitely is, and I think you said it quite well. It's really not. You can tell this was just something to, entice the fans. And I believe Bob Iger had said that they originally hadn't planned on releasing one so early, but there was just such a fervor for it, understandably so. And what I've noticed about the trailer, Stephen Corey, is that for my brother, for example, he's a few years younger than me. He likes Star Wars, lowercase. Well, meanwhile, I'm a lunatic who has a podcast, right?
Uppercase, yeah.
Yeah, uppercase, very much so. And so he texts me, he goes, wow, Dan, that was really cool. And that blew me away because he does not like the prequels at all. So it's like reinvigorated, and I'm not going to use the pun everyone's saying about how everyone is awakened, but I guess I sort of just did. But it's really exciting what it's doing for people who grew up with the original trilogy, kind of fell out of favor, and are coming back roaring, really.
Yeah, that's why I'm convinced this is going to be next April the biggest celebration ever. The excitement is building worldwide, and I think they're pushing all the right buttons and letting things out. And I'm trying to stay as spoiler free as possible, and I hope that lasts for at least a little while. But I'm enjoying it thoroughly, being on the other side.
Well, and the fever of it is just wonderful. Do you have any tips to be spoiler free? It's very hard to do, and I'm quite adamant about trying to be spoiler free, but it's very tough.
Yeah, there are a number of websites I don't go to.
Mm-hmm. I'm discovering that as well.
Like all of them, yeah.
Well, no, because
ours is safe.
Yeah, well, there are usually. I mean, if my friends at Jedi News want to refer to some other site, they will usually say spoiler ahead or something, and I'll stop reading.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I worked at Lucasfilm during the making of the prequels. One of my jobs was to figure out the strategy of rolling things out, both graphically and name-wise and planets and story-wise, and when those things happen, and especially how we do it for the fans. And you have to remember, the internet was still, I mean, it was there, but, even in 97, 98, 99, it was still the early days of the kind of internet that we have now. So it was a little easier. I mean, now it's just crazy, but I knew everything. And it did affect, how it's different. It's still different going in and seeing the final movie on the big screen, but knowing everything that was there and everything that was in the script, and it does take away the edge of excitement. So I want to go into the theater for the premiere and just be as excited as I can and just have this whole new world open for me. And I think the tease certainly starts us down that road.
Have you decided where you're going to put all your Force Awakens merchandise yet?
Oh boy. That
is the most unfair question I have been asked. That's an excellent question, and there's some tough decisions to make because frankly, we're 10,000 square feet and we're full, and there is a limited amount of money in the bank, I just have not made that final decision. Ann and I have been talking, Ann Newman and I, our vice president and general manager, and, we'll figure it out. And there are certain things that I want to continue getting, but there is going to be so much new merchandise. Disney made it very clear when they bought Lucasfilm that they were buying the company for two reasons: the Star Wars intellectual property and the ability to vastly increase the merchandising, especially internationally. And so,
that's a staggering statement, really.
Yes, no. But that's clearly what they said. And, I think it's going to be great. But the Rancho Obi-Wan may end up being the repository of the original movies and not as much the new movies, and maybe somebody else can take it from there. I don't know. I mean, it's a long. We should have this chat at some point next year and sort of discuss, what major collectors do, and it's a conundrum.
It truly is. It's something where and plus you've got this wonderful Rebels merchandise coming on the Disney stores. Last weekend I went and I saw, we had mentioned before the die-cast vehicles that they're putting out, and I saw that ad, and I think that they had to get out there with a mop because I was absolutely drooling over that thing. And now I see that Hot Wheels is going to come out with something next year. It's just, it's wonderful, but it's almost not fair.
A Jedi must make choices.
That's right.
Yes. Well, I call myself a completist, but that really means I love everything, not that I can buy everything.
Right.
And the Disney stores merchandise has been wonderful. And the Hot Wheels cars are great fun. And there's only so much money and so much space, and you make those decisions.
Well, and what is it? The one next year that they're coming out with, they're like, are they 12-inch vehicles? Does that sound right?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's the I'll look it up here.
Which the Hot Wheels?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Hot Wheels. Yeah, it's the Elite 12-inch pre-orders. Yeah. They're running at about $70 a piece on Big Bad Toy Store right now.
Wow.
Oh, they're already taking pre-orders on them?
They are. And of course I mention them because they're our sponsor. But yeah, that's
that's
very
okay. I am an equal opportunity buyer. I have purchased things from Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth, one of our sponsors, and
love that.
all kinds of places. So yeah,
all kinds of great fun. How did you react when you heard the names? I thought they were a lot of fun personally. It's very Star Wars sounding to them. Where did you go when you heard them?
Well, first of all, I love the way that they were released.
Oh, yes, the cards. I know you said that was your crack.
Yeah, it is. Using the top scars was great. I mean, they all sound Star Warsy to me. I'd love to know, someday we'll find out the backstory, like, the bounty hunter Forlom. Well, that was named by ILM, and it stands for the love of money. So, someday we'll get the backstory as to who and how they developed the names, some of these names. And, BB looks like a little BB, shot going, out. The thing that surprises me about that is to hear that that's practical.
I know.
Yeah.
Not CG. So, I'm very jealous of Mark Hamill, who got to play with it on the set. So,
well, I'm surely we'll see BB-8 at Celebration. You'd think?
Yeah.
Well, I hope we see
lots of fun things.
Lots of as many of the cast as can make it. I hope we see JJ there. So, that's why I think it's going to be such an amazing show.
Truly. And before we let you go, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, what you thought about George Lucas coming out and saying, his response to the trailer or lack of seeing it.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. And George really, George sold Star Wars. And, I won't pretend to understand the psychological ramifications of something like that. I appreciate everything that George has done for Star Wars. He's the one who came up with it. And George likes seeing things on the big screen. He always has. And so I'm sure he'll see it at some point. And he has said how much he's looking forward to seeing the movie when it comes out on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
So, it does not surprise me that he hasn't looked at, I'd be surprised if George has an iPad or something like that, frankly.
Yeah, I kind of equate it to George kind of letting, one of his kids going off to college or something like that. And he kind of goes, okay, they're on their own now. And he knows they're out there and they're doing well and they're going to get a job and they're out there doing good things and they're learning new things.
Corey, I think that's a really good analogy.
Thanks. Yeah.
And you have to let go. and he has, and I'm sure he's looking forward to seeing what JJ has done with it and how he's taken George's baby and is reintroducing it to a new generation.
And he didn't he famously say after A New Hope that he wished that someone else could make the movie so he could watch it?
Yes.
Yes. So that all makes sense to me. As you said, that seems to make sense with what he has said previously. And I'm sort of envious in a way. I can't imagine the relief it must be. The monumental task is to make a Star Wars film and to please the fans and to get their merchandise ready. And now he can just be a fan too of what he created. Corey's analogy is perfect.
Yeah. How about making 3 in a row over a period of 9 years? I mean, talk about backbreaking. But he felt a responsibility, and he felt it would be unfair to, thrust that on somebody else. With all the new technology and things changing rapidly between movies. So, it is what it is, and I don't think anybody should read anything negative. I mean, it was somebody who just came up to George at an event and said, "Hey, have you seen the trailer?" No. Okay. Because it's winter. The next, even if he had seen the trailer, and maybe he has, and so then they're going, "Well, what'd you think of it?" It's a no-win situation. Whatever he would say, would be some sort of weird. George was mildly enthusiastic. It's whatever. Poor George can't win.
He can't.
And he's busy right now with a small museum project, hopefully in Chicago.
That's right, in our neck of the woods.
Yes, curses. But I will enjoy visiting Chicago again. I love Chicago, so
it's your kind of town, isn't it?
It is my kind of town.
Very good. Well, Steve, where can people reach out to you and ask a question or just say hello if they wanted to do so?
Well, they can certainly come to our Facebook pages. We have Rancho Obi-Wan, and then there is a Steve Sansweet Facebook page. Both of those are wide open, and I try to reply to any messages that are sent via those two areas. I don't give advice on pricing because I don't follow pricing, and I always say go to eBay, search for something similar, and see if any have sold recently. So that's what I do. So otherwise I'm, happy to chat with people when I have the time.
Well, very much so. And we know that you'll have an amazing presence at Celebration. And be sure, everyone, to sign up to be a Rancho Recruiter, become a member of Rancho Obi-Wan, and support this amazing place that I cannot wait to visit next summer. Steve, thank you again so much for coming back to Coffee with Kenobi with us. We look forward to chatting with you in the future.
Anytime, guys.
More to add, do you?
Now, along with our discussion with Steve, we had some great emails from listeners. I wanted to add those in as well to be able to discuss those and get their feedback and some other opinions. So our first one's from Randy Hutchinson, and he says, "Hey guys, I saw the trailer early this afternoon, last Friday before Mockingjay at Cinema West in Plano, Texas. And it seemed like it was after a half a dozen trailers, we saw the sands of maybe Tatooine. The trailer was great, and after it played, there was some shouting and clapping. It seemed like there was a group that was there that really dug it. I would say the auditorium was maybe 1/3 full, which seems to be still a bit of folks, as it was the cinema's XD screen, seats well over 100, and maybe a dozen or so people coming to wearing Star Wars t-shirts and alike. My impressions on the trailer itself was that it was great. Some of the highlights for me were seeing the X-Wing cockpit shot, feeling much like the camera work during the rescue mission on Hoth and Empire Strikes Back. Also, the new dark side user looked pretty great even before he flicked on the new or really old lightsaber. The characters seem to show great presence, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the story is behind of all of that. I also thought the snow/woods planet looked great. Between seeing the X-Wings and the Falcon at the end with the main theme playing in the background, I felt like I was 10 years old again, watching a USA Network weekend a marathon of the Riddle trilogy in the family room of our old ranch house in Iowa. I really appreciate the show, and my morning commute always seems to go a lot better whenever I see there's a new Coffee with Kenobi podcast in the feed. Thanks, Randy Hutchison. Well, Randy, we can echo your sentiments about the trailer itself. We're very excited to see all the new things. It's interesting to see the kind of the. I didn't get to see it in theaters, and to hear his kind of his overview as far as like the people in there to check it out and the groups of people kind of cheering and whatnot. I think it's interesting to see that kind of stuff because those are the people that are kind of really out there and checking it out on the big screen for the first time, maybe, and maybe they're diehard Star Wars fans, or maybe they're just general audience just to check it out. And it would be interesting to see. I'd like to watch like a spy camera of folks' reactions. I know they had some on YouTube and stuff and whatnot, but it's really great.
I think it'd be fun if you and I made a video to pretend like this was what our faces were like, but then it might get really obnoxious.
Well, I'm sure my face would probably melt like in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Like tote. Like that candle they're selling, which is incredibly bizarre. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah. First of all, thanks, Randy, for sending this in. Randy is someone that's just another great ambassador and friend of the show, and he's always sending out wonderful things on Twitter, and so we're happy to chat with him, so that's awesome. I think it's interesting when this trailer comes out. I mean, those of us who are podcast listeners and just are all about Star Wars all the time, we knew what to expect as far as the fact that there was a trailer coming and it was going to be epic. But there are a lot of people out there who are maybe barely aware of the Star Wars coming back. So for them to see that seems to be, those are the people that we want to hit. I mean, you and I are going to go see it a bunch of times. We're going to be excited about it, and we're going to be talking about it, blogging about it, podcasting about it, whatever, until we drive our wives crazy. But I think the smart thing is that they're reeling in the casual fan or the fans that have, come back to life, have awakened their fandom too. So putting that in the big screen is great. Over Christmas break, I really want to go see the new Hobbit film.
Yeah.
And it's there. People are saying, I know Joe Taylor has said that he got to see this trailer on the big screen before. So that is motivating me as much as anything, because I still haven't seen this trailer on the big screen. And I have a feeling that moment of the Falcon appearing and in the thunderous boom of Williams' score, I wish I had seen that for the first time on a big screen. Didn't happen. So that's okay. But that's going to be worth it, man. That's going to be worth the price of admission.
Yeah, I likewise. I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully a movie or two during the holiday season, and looking forward to seeing that as a trailer. And like you said, that Williams score, that brand new music we get to hear, just to have it blare out of the speakers and rumble your teeth a little bit. So yeah, definitely a great experience. Thanks, Randy, for sending this in and telling us what you thought.
Our next email comes from featured blogger Melinda Wolf, and she writes, and before I even start to read this, to be fair, all these emails that we received were before the announcements of some of the character names from the teaser trailer were released. Right. So that is why they are the way they are. So Melinda writes, "Happy holidays, Corey and Dan. I finally got a chance to listen to show number 27 a couple of days ago. Interesting conversation you and your three guests had about the Sith. I enjoyed it." And of course, she's referring to our great show with our friends from the Wolfpack podcast. She goes on to write, "I'm not sure when you're going to tape show number 28, but I thought I'd send you my response to your query about reactions to the trailer for The Force Awakens. This may be the shortest email you two have ever received from me. Here's my reaction to Episode 7, The Force Awakens trailer. It was awesome. For the record, I am not going to speculate about anything regarding what some of the images might indicate. That serves absolutely no purpose in my opinion. I believe J.J. Abrams has and will stay true to what George Lucas created, and I am thrilled about that. I am not surprised Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher were not featured in this first trailer. Episode 7 is not about them. This was a teaser trailer. The whole purpose was to whet our appetite, get us talking, and that is just what it has done. I love the roly-poly droid. The new lightsaber is fantastic. I don't care what people say about it. I know both of you are too young probably to have been aware of it at the time you first saw Star Wars, but there were all kinds of scientific issues with A New Hope when it was released. There was no sound in space. A lightsaber could not exist, etc., etc. Did that affect fans' enjoyment of the films? No. Has fandom waned? No. When December 18th, 2015 rolls around, I'm going to be sitting in one of those seats at the local movie theater with the same youthful anticipation I have experienced for each of the previous 6 films. 7, if you count the Clone Wars animated film. I'm excited at the prospect of once again being transported to that galaxy far, far away. I can't wait. I guess I had more to say than I thought. Happy holidays, Melinda Wolf. Well, thank you, Melinda. We actually haven't talked about the big 3 not being in this trailer yet, at least that I can remember. What did you think about that?
When I first watched it, it didn't even occur to me that, they might not be in the trailer or they might be in the trailer.
Yeah.
I knew it was a possibility, but it didn't shock me. But I was relieved that it was set up the way it was. I think, they're really going for this newness, this introduction to these new characters, and really trying to get us a good grab on them and see how they're going to flow into the saga. And it didn't bother me at all. I think the biggest comeback to me was the Millennium Falcon. That just said it all. And the score obviously together was good enough for me at this point. I'd love to see, another trailer with them in it.
Yeah, I thought it was neat, and I agree with you. When I watched it, I guess it just didn't really cross my mind. What can you say? You're seeing a brand new,
right?
Star Wars trailer for a movie that we just dreamed would actually happen, and now it has. So I wasn't really expecting to see Ford or Fisher or Hamill, and when they weren't on, I wasn't disappointed. I don't think anyone really has voiced any concerns about that, because part of that, it's just sort of fun to still anticipate and imagine what we're eventually going to see. And the movie was so recently wrapped before this aired anyway, so there's probably not a lot that they can play with right now. They just wanted to sort of whet our appetites, as Melinda said so wonderfully, as she always does. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the fun. I don't think anyone, JJ may have his detractors on occasion, but I don't think anyone would doubt the fact that the man loves cinema and knows how to make an engaging, fun, entertaining film that's got that visual splendor to it. So, wow,
I also want to notice, too, in the previous email from Randy and from Melinda here, they both go back to, earlier moments in their Star Wars fandom. Being a kid or growing up with it, or how I interacted watching on TV through the weekend-long, showings, or when I saw it in theaters, this is the same feeling I got. So I really think that any fan that can sit down and watch this trailer and go, this is exciting, because it brings that joy and that those memories back to you, and that's exactly what I think we're going for. Our next email comes from Dennis Keithley, and he writes, "What I love about the trailer is the sense of urgency it creates. John Boyega is urgently trying to find or evade a probe droid, or at least what it sounds like, a probe droid. The new soccer ball droid frantically races across the terrain on its way to something or away from something. Daisy Ridley's character desperately attempts to start the speeder and flies into the Abu Dhabi set. The new stormtroopers are ready for action. The X-Wings soar across the lake with a grim-looking Oscar Isaacs at the controls. The wielder of the lightsaber stalks through the forest, hunkers down, and ignites his lightsaber. And finally, the penultimate moment, the Falcon soaring through the desert skies that evades 2 TIE fighters." Man, I just think, as a side note there, that sounds just like, JJ wrote that up.
It's very well written.
Yeah, that was cool.
I agree.
Very, very, very nice. Dennis goes on to say, big things are going on here. I hope that Abrams and company are successful in carrying the sense of action and the urgency throughout the movie and not just the trailer. I'm not as enamored by the new droid as many, and I probably like the new saber more than most. I do like that the universe hasn't remained stagnant. The Stormtroopers have advanced armor, the Rebels have modified X-Wings, even the Falcon has a few upgrades. I'm certain that the full trailer will give us more details, but I'm glad we got enough to whet our appetites without giving away all the goods. Part of the fun is the speculation. We have a year to go. Love your reaction show, and I can't wait for more. Thanks, Dennis Keithley. Well, Dennis, we get more positive notes here, and like I said, he broke it down perfectly. That sense of urgency, I definitely felt that. John Boyega pops up and he's breathing hard, and we don't have no idea what's going on. That first scene, we don't know what the reaction is there. Is it good? Is it bad? And that just gets us going. We're already deep into, the voiceover kind of cuts off, and he's going. There's movement. Everything moves in this trailer, and it's just done perfectly, I think.
Right. Yeah. Very kinetic. I like that. Yeah, everything does move, and that sense of urgency that John Boyega, who we now know as Finn, exhibits has already become an iconic moment in Star Wars. And Dennis, much like Randy, another wonderful friend of our show, great ambassador, and an awesome presence on Twitter. So we're happy to hear from you, Dennis, and have you as part of the conversation as well, because you're right on. And again, as Corey said, dude, very well written. Mm-hmm. Very well written. I love the description. Hopefully Lucasfilm will see that and sign you up to do some stuff for them, because that was awesome. And I agree. There's a lot of excitement there. There's a lot of newness, and the speculation is one of my favorite things too. I probably like speculation more than anything, just because it's just, I don't know, it's exciting. I love the fact that as of the recording for right now, it's 1 year exactly until we get to see The Force Awakens. So just knowing that we have another year of anticipation and excitement and conversation, it's wonderful. So thank you again, Dennis, for sending that in. Our last email on your thoughts on The Force Awakens comes from Lenny Klein, and Lenny writes, I enjoyed the new trailer thoroughly. I'm still getting my head around the idea that after 30-some years, we are finally going to see what happens after the Battle of Endor on the big screen. I will, however, say this. I think part of the reason we think the trailer is so great is because of the fact that it's been so long since the story was last seen. To be honest, I think by itself the trailer was decent. Our anticipation is what pushed that extra mile. I mean, think about it. We really only got eye candy, though it was awesome. But I'm pretty sure that was intentional. They need to make sure that the entire possible audience knows it's coming, in regards to themes. Loosely based on the voiceover, I kind of feel like the movie will explore the, quote, theme by Patrick Henry. If I am wrong in regards to this quote, my mistake. The tree of liberty must be watered with the blood of patriots. Hopefully I didn't misquote it. Lenny, wow, that's awesome. I'm not as much of a history aficionado as I am of literature, so I'm not sure if that was misquoted. Feel free, if anyone knows, to let us know. But that's a very, very powerful sentiment. You can tell, as Dennis mentioned and Corey talked about, there is a lot of emotion here, and this sense of urgency is palpable and strong. And the fact that there are still things going on, still the machinations of an empire, whatever's going on with the rebellion, which is most likely not called a rebellion anymore, I wouldn't think. But who knows what's happened over the last 30 years in the galaxy. It's pretty neat, and I agree with you. The trailer itself was wonderful, and it was eye candy, but it didn't reveal much, and that's because, as you mentioned, as we've said many times, and as Steve just so graciously said a little bit ago, this was just to get us excited. It really isn't going to show us much about the story. And if it was over any other movie, people would be like, oh, those are some cool images, and they just kind of leave their minds until the next trailer showed up where they actually saw the movie. But because this is Star Wars, it just puts those logs on the proverbial fire of our fandom and just gets the juices flowing even more,
Yeah, I completely agree. And Lenny has some great points here where he says, it's, if it was for any other movie and there was these characters popping up and these things going by and we didn't know anything about it, it was just a sci-fi movie, and we wouldn't, maybe we wouldn't think so much about it. But knowing that Star Wars is such in the makeup of pop culture and the bloodstream of fandom, that it is something that just gets us excited just from that instant, shot of the desert scene. We know, I mean, every fan looking at that goes, oh, I know where that is. I mean, whether it is there or not, but there's just, all of a sudden, your light bulb clicks on and there you are. You're right back in the saga and you're ready for it. And it gets your heart racing and gets your blood pumping, and I couldn't ask for more.
Right. And before we move on to our next segment of Coffee with Kenobi, I want to go back to something that Dennis said that we haven't talked about, the probe droid noise. And we haven't talked about this at all. Like even like off the air, we haven't. Well, I'll be honest. When I first when I saw the trailer and I heard the probe droid noise, I thought two things. One I thought was, oh, that's the probe droid noise, and then the second thing I thought was, oh, that reminds me of our email segment.
Yeah, I didn't hear it the first time around until I watched it the second time. I was like, oh, then I heard the probe droid. I thought I heard that. I flashed to the Empire Strikes Back scene where we see it land and it takes off and starts surveying the area. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Is that reflecting that in some respects? I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know. It was interesting that. And then also Luke's, what we now know is Luke's lightsaber at the end of the trailer itself. When the screen goes dark, you hear an ignition of the lightsaber, which was the added back in, or I don't know. It's something to think about.
Yeah, they're beautifully layering nostalgia with what is current, and it's a great sign, my friend, a great sign indeed.
Our topic for show number 29 is the year in Star Wars 2014. What news stories excited you the most? How did you feel about information and how it was released? What merchandise and collectibles do you find most appealing? In 300 words or less, be sure to send us an email or MP3 with your thoughts, comments, questions, and opinions. Feedback at coffeewithkenobi.com.
And this is something where we have a very special guest that's going to be joining us. It's going to be the Bearded Trio's own Rob Wainfur.
Yes, exactly. This has been a long time coming for Rob. We're excited to have him on and certainly share the mic with him and get his thoughts from across the pond. He does great work at Bearded Trio and kind of clues us all in for his Espresso Shot for every show. So I'm excited to talk to him and get his thoughts as well.
Yeah, that's well said, Corey. I like that. This has certainly been a long time coming because he's been so wonderful for our show and such a great promoter and ambassador, not only for Coffee with Kenobi, but just for the Bearded Trio themselves, Lucas, Spielberg, and Williams. And he's quality, he's integrity. He's going to be great to talk to. I can't wait.
I like the sound of that.
Echo 3 to Echo 7. Hi, nobody. Do you read me?
I saw part of the message.
I seem to have found it.
Our first email here comes from a coworker I got talking a bit about Star Wars with, and then he shot me a little email after I mentioned we did a podcast. So here's what he says. I was reading about your About page, and sometime we need to have a chat. One of the things I love about those early days of Star Wars was the lack of the expanded information. For instance, I remember when I was young and my friends and I were discussing the Clone Wars and our own unadulterated imaginations, we had the subtext that Obi-Wan was actually a single clone of Ben Kenobi. And he quotes here, and Ben was killed in the Clone Wars. So the numerical aspect would be that he was really Obi-Wan, as in the number 1 clone. This could explain why he didn't recall owning R2 and explain Uncle Owen's reaction to Luke and calling him a crazy old man. For some reason, we had the idea that the clones were a little off, quotes, from the original being that they would get crazier as more clones were made from clones. Probably a theory from another movie or something. The naming convention came from an early toy packaging where C-3PO was spelled out C-3PO. Ah, the good old days. I can definitely get my Star Wars nerd on, and that's from my coworker Aaron Shane. Thanks, Aaron, for writing in. We kind of passed each other in the hallways, and we got talking about Star Wars, and we definitely talked about the teaser trailer and all those things. And he's a big collector, likes to get all that stuff, and he says he's kind of reeled back a little bit in the last few years just to keep things managed, but definitely appreciate you kind of giving us this interesting aspect where he talks about the expanded information. It wasn't out there back in 1977. So I mean, I don't even think there's any maybe you had some context on the back of the toys.
The C-3PO?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was fun. Before I do that, though.
Sure.
So did you guys know each other before this?
Yeah, we kind of, like, one of those things where you, like, I see you during the day, I know who you are. We don't have had a chance to talk yet. And
how did he find out that you were Corey of Coffee with Kenobi? How did he figure that out?
Well,
did he get your autograph? Ask for a 5x7?
Yeah, I had to kind of wane him off and say, all right, don't do that. No.
Sure.
But no, it was good because I talked to another friend of ours that works there, and he mentioned that Aaron is a big Star Wars fan, and I was like, I need to go over and talk to him. And I kept passing his cube, and he's got little bobbleheads and little figures, Star Wars figures in his cube there, and it just hadn't happened until this last week or so, and yeah, I was microwaved some lunch, and he passed by, and I kind of said, hey, we kind of said that you're in the Star Wars I hear, and so got talking, and it's so funny because it's like two people that are relatively strangers in a sense, and I say, hey, you like Star Wars, right? And he's like, yeah, boom, instant connection.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's like we've been hanging out for years, so it's so interesting the way the Star Wars can just lightning effect there, that impulse of connection. So I think that was really cool.
Doesn't that make you think too that Celebration is going to be awesome because of things like that?
Yes, definitely, and I'm excited for that because it's I can see all these people we've been talking to online and interacting with. It's going to be so much more. I mean, here we are at a Star Wars convention, and hey, these friends are all been following us and hanging out with us online. Let's just do it in person. So it's going to be a huge ordeal. Okay.
As far as the spelling of C-3PO, this is awesome to me because the R2 was spelled ARTOO-DETOO, R2D2. I remember explaining this to my wife, and she was like, What are those words? What are you doing? And I said, that's C-3PO and R2D2. And she goes, oh, Dan. I'm like, no, really, that was what was on the package. So last year when I was introducing A New Hope to my seniors, they were asking how to spell C-3PO and R2D2, and I wrote out both versions, and nobody really batted an eye because, I assume they were humoring me, or they just thought, okay, the man must know what he's talking about. So that's where that came from. I always thought that was really fun. It added a bit of gravitas to the whole thing, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, and I remember, in my early days of growing up with Star Wars and getting to know the characters, I would always say Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, it seems like a mistake anybody could make without having known it was Obi-Wan, W-A-N, and, thinking, oh, he's the one of what, maybe, I don't know. So it's an interesting concept, and I would assume that a lot of folks back in the day, before all the great information came out about the background on the prequels and stuff, had their own, inclinations of what really happened during those Clone Wars, and so very cool to hear.
Our next email is from Dennis Keithley, who we heard earlier when we talked about the discussion of the trailer for The Force Awakens, and he writes, I'm very appreciative of your show and the perspective you guys bring to all things Star Wars. A little backstory. I turned 40 this year, and I was fairly out of shape. At the beginning of the year, I set a goal to lose 30 pounds by my birthday. My primary form of exercise has been walking. Prior to this year, I hadn't ever been a consumer of podcasts. However, in order to stay motivated on my walks, I began downloading them to get me through the walks. I started with shows about the NFL Draft, which, after Star Wars, is where I devote much of my geek enthusiasm. Once this year's draft was over, I started getting into Star Wars podcasts. I think I first heard you guys on Full of Sith, and began regularly listening after that. I could have kicked myself for not listening sooner. To end this long story, my strategy worked, and I exceeded my goal by a month and 10 pounds. So now, not only am I hooked on your show and others, I'm grateful for all the content, and I'm anxious to give back where I can. Dennis Keithley. Dennis, look, we receive a lot of wonderful emails that reach us in a lot of different ways. This is a very unique one, and first off, congratulations, Dennis, on this amazing accomplishment. We're really proud of you and impressed, and we tip our fedoras to you. I read this email, Corey, to my wife, and she was like, wow. I mean, this is great. I'm so proud of what Dennis accomplished, and it's just really neat that we could be in some incredibly small part just to help be part of the motivation and I mean, what can you say? That's just amazing. That trumps everything, really.
It does. And Dennis, appreciate the shout out here, and again, congratulations on losing the weight there. I know it's difficult for me in general to make personal goals and to reach them, and I think anybody who can cheer me along the way or just help me get through to the end goal is excellent. So just like Dan said, just us being a small part of that and helping you get to that goal was excellent, and go Seahawks. Our next email comes from Sue Baskin, and she writes, "Hi guys, just wanted to let you know how much I enjoyed the podcast you guys put out. It is always very exciting when I see a new episode has been posted. My one suggestion, however, is that you slow down when you're saying the name of the podcast. I know it's supposed to be Coffee with Kenobi, but I swear it sounds like Cough with Kenobi. And then, of course, it always makes me think of Obi-Wan as a doctor again." Laugh out loud. Keep up the good work, and may the Force be with you. And that's from Sue Baskin. Now, Sue, I am kind of one of those Star Wars nerds that gets excited and I start rambling. And when I ramble, I start going on and on and on, and my words, mash together. So the more excitement, the more I become unclear. So if it's going to be something, if George Lucas was on, I don't think the conversation would go good at all. So, we'll do our best to enunciate or get the word out as best we can, and we can't control our fandom like some folks. We have a good time here with Coffee with Kenobi. Is that right? Coffee with excuse me, Coffee with Kenobi. But we appreciate the good ribbing and the outreach here. Thanks for the email.
Our last email comes from John Christian from Wichita, Kansas, and John writes, "To start with, love the show. Recently listened to the Rebels Reaction show Rise of the Old Masters. After watching the episode twice, I've come to the conclusion that in my opinion, Luminara Unduli is alive and frozen in carbonite. Here's my reasoning. As they enter the prison, Kanan senses her, but it feels off. It's distant, maybe you could say. They find her cell and she's just sitting there. She gets up to walk to Kanan and looks at him, only to be sucked into a case on the wall where her face appears with the same look on it as another famous carbonite frozen individual, Han Solo, frozen in a cut-off screen. Now, I heard on your show, or maybe it was Rebel Force Radio's commentary on the episode, that it was all just Empire holographic trickery. My thoughts are that they froze her in carbonite. With powerful Force abilities, she's able to project herself out within her cell, maybe. Even being around a prison, being frozen like that, it takes too much energy to speak. As for the Inquisitor saying she's dead, he lied. If Obi-Wan could lie to Luke saying Vader killed Luke's father, despite the point of view line he gave Luke, one of my favorite lines, by the way, he still basically lied. The point is, if a Jedi is willing to lie, then certainly a dark side user will. Until Lucasfilm or the show producers come out and say she's dead, I'm holding on to the belief she's alive. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this. Again, that's from John Christian. Well, John, thank you. Awesome thoughts and very interesting. I sort of had that carbonite reaction as well, but I'm pretty sure on Rebels Recon, I thought that they had said that in fact she was dead. Isn't it? Am I remembering that correctly?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'd spoke about that before, or not.
Well, I agree.
I like this theory.
I do too. It would be nice. I mean, at some point though, since Rebels has kind of taken a new way of looking at some parts of A New Hope, then most of these Jedi probably haven't survived if what we know from Revenge of the Sith and Star Wars lore is true. So that makes sense. It makes it more tragic, and maybe that is the way that she died very similarly, and that's why we're seeing it that way. But I think that she did die. But at any rate, just providing more dialogue for conversation and making us think about it is interesting, John. So thank you for that. And if anyone else has any theories on this, or if you have a vague recollection of what we think we may have remembered too, let us know.
Chewie, get us out of here!
If you would like to respond to our question of the show, have a comment, or just want to say hello, send us an email or MP3 at feedback@coffeewithkenobi.com. Or if you have a specific question or comment for either of us individually, email us at danz@coffeewithkenobi.com or CoreyC@coffeewithkenobi.com, or visit us at coffeewithkenobi.com and click on the Contact Us section, or comment on one of the stories featured on the site. If you enjoy the show, please write a review in iTunes. You can also like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi, as well as keep up to date on our Twitter feed at twitter.com/coffeewithkenobi. You can also find us on Tumblr at coffeewithkenobi.tumblr.com. If you enjoy the jazz music, download the album Eye to Eye by Steve Torok on iTunes.
Give the evacuation code signal.
That's it for show number 28 of Coffee with Kenobi. A big thank you to Steve Sansweet for stopping by to discuss becoming a Rancho Recruiter and for sharing his thoughts on the Force Awakens trailer. Be sure to sign up and become a Rancho Recruiter through the link in our show notes or on our main webpage.
Thanks also to Thomas Riddle and Wes Dodgens from Star Wars in the Classroom for sharing their exciting news with us and for their hard work in Star Wars and education. Thanks also to Rob at the Bearded Trio, to everyone who contributed to this show, and to all of you out there who listen and email Coffee with Kenobi. Don't forget to send us your comments and opinions on topic for show number 29, The Year in Star Wars.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
There's no one here.